Are you struggling to reach your goals, trying to stay disciplined and keep grinding? Would you like to find that sweet spot between getting the results you want in life and the feeling that when you go to bed in the evening, that was the perfect day on earth? Today I speak with Alex Heyne, a YouTuber known for his channel Modern Health Monk. He teaches people how to be healthier, lose weight, and develop habits that help them to become a better version of themselves and succeed in their goals. He's the author of the #1 Amazon bestseller Master the Day. He has a doctorate degree and he's specialized in acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine. So without further ado, let's dive into the interview. You're watching or listening to Business Podcast Groningen. My name is Misha Bush and today I'm speaking to Alex Heyne. Alex, thank you for being here and talking to us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So how are you at the moment? How are things with the lockdown, the coronavirus lockdown in your place?
You know, it's decent. We're still totally locked down. I mean, like where I am in the Western US, they have this they're rolling out this gradual process, and the area where I live, they didn't even start rolling out the opening. So It's still quarantine life. But the good thing is it's where I live is a lot of greenery and nice forests. And then, so I'm just trying to spend a lot of time working and reflecting and walking in nature and taking a lot of time to just reflect.
Good. And does the weather also support that? You have some good sunshine going on?
Unfortunately, no. Very cloudy every day. But, I think the sunshine's coming next week.
Yeah. Well, let's pray for that.
Yeah.
So before we get into talking about, because I would really like to talk to you about what entrepreneurs can do to get through the COVID-19 crisis successfully, and especially using the habits and the success tools that you have developed and that you teach. But before that, I would like to quickly talk a little bit about you and your background. You have built up a huge social media following and YouTube following, especially with hundreds of thousands of people looking at you as an example and for guidance on being healthier, how to lose weight, how to use habits to reach their goals. How did you start as a YouTuber, and how did Modern Health Monk come into existence?
So starting as a YouTuber was actually an accident. I had been writing wellness and health articles on modernhealthmonk.com, the website. So I had already completely quit my job after about 2-3 years of writing on that website. Mm-hmm. And I was just getting so bored of writing the same content. Personal growth is much more my passion, and not really fitness and weight loss and stuff. So I was writing all these articles on fitness, weight loss, and I was helping people that wanted to learn that. But I felt like my passion was I really wanted to talk about the big picture of life. I really wanted to talk about self-growth and purpose and meaning, and how to really change your life, not just in terms of weight loss, but in terms of the other parts too, because for some people, the pain is all in the finance, piece of their life, or the pain is all in the dating and love part. So I wanted to be able to understand or create a brand where it helped people with all of those things, with one core philosophy. So after about a couple of years, I got so exhausted writing these articles, and I'm like, I need a new project. And I was like, let me just shoot a YouTube video. Cause I had if you go on my channel, there's probably 10 videos from maybe 6 years ago, but I didn't start YouTube until only 3 years ago. Mm. So those videos were just hey, welcome to my blog. Or if I wrote an article on something, I shot a video to embed in the article. So YouTube, I never had a plan for YouTube. And so I was let me just do a 21-day habit challenge for my audience. And it'll be a mixture of fitness and a mixture of life habits. And so I just shot one video every day, 21 days. I put it all on this article on my website, and it got 80 or 90 comments on the blog article. I mean, it just, the people on my email list, they loved it. And I was shooting these videos is way easier than writing articles. So I just started shooting a video a week. And then, after a certain period of time, I think I had 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. And I don't follow anyone on YouTube. So I didn't watch YouTube at the time. So I didn't know what's a lot, what's a little. And I went to, at that time, my girlfriend's house, and her little cousin was over. And he was 7 years old. And he's dude, you have 10,000 subscribers. You're famous. And I'm like, is that a lot? What are you talking about? And so I didn't, I had no idea about what I was doing. Right. And then I was okay, let me just start uploading some creative videos. And so I uploaded this video called the 3-second rule, like when you feel lazy. And it was like a comedy basically. And it was like, I'm eating a bowl of cereal and then the timer goes off and I just hit the bowl of cereal and it explodes against the wall. And I activated the ads on YouTube like 1 week after that. And then that video went viral like in 2 days by pure luck, pure coincidence. And so I went from YouTube, making $0 in my business to like a $2,000 a month AdSense check, like in 3 weeks. And of course it went away, but just that I was like, what just happened? Like, so that's when I was like, let me just try this. And I found it a lot more fun than writing articles.
Yeah. And you describe it as you made the videos pretty quickly. Is it still like that to record them, edit them, or is there more work involved right now?
Yeah, there's a lot more work, but now I have people that work for me. So like for me, my main mantra is like each week is how can I improve it? Yeah. Right. So just a little bit better, either my presentation and my ability to teach or the actual editing and video production style. And so, at first it was just my talking head on camera. And then it was like, okay, I should script this so that it's interesting and they remember stories and it's not just teaching. And then it was like, okay, let me try editing a video and see what ways to edit and then get a good camera and all these things. So these days it's pretty quick. So after I script, I sit down and it takes me probably 30 minutes to shoot 2 videos. And then it just goes to the video editor and then the thumbnails and that's it. Yeah,
nice. That's nice to scale up like that and not have to do everything yourself anymore.
Right.
Yeah. So I also know that you went to China at some point already quite a long time ago. You went again in the meantime also, but you really had the goal to become a monk when you went there. I think it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Where in China did you go?
So I was living in Beijing, so up north in the capital there.
Okay, yeah. And you just went to a temple in the city?
No, believe it or not. So I just booked a one-way ticket and I was like, I'm just going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I took, after my job, I was a high school teaching assistant. And I just came home for a few hours and went to a Chinese class for like 3 months before. And then I actually enrolled at a Chinese language school because I couldn't get an apartment because I didn't speak Chinese enough. So I went to a language speaking school just so I could meet other students and things like that. And then that's how I met like a Kung Fu teacher, Tai Chi teacher I wanted to study with and that kind of thing. But ultimately realized I don't think I would be very happy with monk life.
No, I can imagine that's a huge difference with the life you have today.
Right.
So what formed the basis of what you teach today and also how you developed the book Master the Day?
I think the big thing is everybody's looking for a big secret. And when you talk to successful people in every field, every domain and part of life, they never say there's a big secret. And then, so it makes you wonder if there's no big secret to success, to being happy, to finding love. So what is it? And in my observation of just life, it really is the little things that we forget to pay attention to. And that should be good news to people because that means change is easier than we think. Because if we want to find that person we want to date or get healthier or build a business, the real question is not like, what's the thing to find? Like, I need the right information. I need the right guru. The real question is, what do I have to change about my habits every day?
Right.
And that is very practical. Just by saying like, what one habit do I have to change daily to get the different results in this part of my life is completely revolutionary for most people because we're looking for something magical and mystical or something more difficult.
Right.
And so I tried my best to illustrate in that book that it's really the power of the little things over time that can get you to where you want to be or lets life slip away from where you want to be. And I kind of showed how I did that with my own fitness. I did that with YouTube. I did that with writing multiple books. I did that with all these things. Like you can achieve a lot more things than you think by changing little things daily rather than these big, silver bullets.
Right. And it also sounds like you take a lot of ownership of the outcome of your life and the things you do in it. Have you always been like that? Like when you were a kid or growing up? Or is this something at some point you started to like switch and say, hey, I'm going to change in this way?
No, I wasn't like that as a kid. I think as a kid, I was like very intellectual, like in my head, but I never was a doer. I never did anything. So like I knew all this stuff and I would think I knew what it took to be like a successful entrepreneur, or like date his dream girl, or book a one-way ticket to China. But that's the most dangerous kind of like arrogance, because you don't really know it. You don't know it from practice. You don't know
Yeah.
it from living it. And
Right.
so for me, the big thing, and I think this is common for people, is in a world where we all have information, the hard thing is to become a doer.
Exactly. And you spoke about like having different habits that you have to develop in different stages of your life. What are one or two things that you are working on right now, and try to go to your next level from where you are right now?
Yeah. So for me, right now, one of the things that happened to me was, so after working for so many years, and in about 5 weeks, I'm graduating with my doctorate also in Chinese medicine. And I was doing this medical program and running my business, and I just totally burned myself out. Like, not just mentally, but like health problems.
Right.
Couldn't sleep for a year, anxiety. So now I'm at the tail end of my healing. And so for me, it's my current next level is being able to recognize those little things when they're building, when they're just a seed now. And I think this is very common for entrepreneurs. Almost every entrepreneur I know has it's like they've pushed it too hard at one point, and then they have to learn that lesson before finding the sweet spot.
Right.
So the first thing for me is really paying attention to how my body feels when I'm working during the day, spending more time going for walks outside, breaking up my workday. But the other thing is not so sexy, but I think is really important. And it's making sure I prioritize like friends and connection over my work. I'm good at doing that when I'm in a relationship, because, if I'm dating a new girl, I'm obviously very excited, something new in my life. But understanding that it's like your family and your friends and your community, whatever it is, that really protects you when things get hard in life. It's
Right.
not business, it's not work ethic, it's not going to the gym, it's not meditation. It's really your tribe of people. And like since ancient times in human culture, that's been the way that you can kind of like hold your life together when things get really hard. So, it's not sexy, but for me, my biggest thing is really focusing on building stronger social ties.
Right. You're also very big on well, you've gone very deep on spirituality. Let's put it that way, and
Yeah.
meditation. You talk about entrepreneurship, that you can kind of go too much into that hardworking and trying to chase after that. How do you? Because a lot of entrepreneurs, I guess, when they're trying to achieve their goals, there's a lot of thinking and so much doing in that you. It creates a certain momentum, and you can't just turn that off, because there's just so much that you need to do during a day to reach your goals, especially in the beginning when you're trying to get something going.
Yeah.
How do you balance that out with still getting the momentum in accomplishing things without having so much momentum in your thoughts that you can't switch them off anymore and kind of calm down again afterwards?
Yeah, I think two big things that I can reflect back on. The first one is making sure that you do have like a good workout routine. Because for me, I always went to the gym at the end of the day. So never in the morning, never at lunchtime, always at like 6 o'clock. Because I find that no matter how stressful my day is, the gym is like the purge button.
Right.
Just like clears emotions, clears stress, clears my brain. The second thing I think is a lot of entrepreneurs, especially at the beginning, don't know what's most important to grow the business, right? And so we end up doing 100 things because we don't actually know that there's only 10 of those things that really are important. And so a really good book here that could help is called The One Thing. And it talks about how, you may think you need social media, you need YouTube, you need email, you need whatever, Instagram, but really you only need usually less than 3 things. And I think the big challenge for most entrepreneurs is to do less by trying to figure out what are those 3 things. And you can easily track it. Like as an entrepreneur, whether or not you like it, your goal has to be kind of revenue, because if no income is coming in, you don't have a business. So if you know where your income comes from, what 1 source, 2 sources, 3 sources, and then the main rivers that feed those sources, and then you can only do those things, that usually you could cut your workday in half. So that's one thing. And the second thing is I do this exercise whenever I end up doing too much of my business, where for a week, I cut my work hours in half and I see if I can get the exact same result. So if I was working 9 hours, I work 4.5. If I was working 4.5, I work 2 hours and a quarter. And I see if I can get the same result. And the crazy thing is, every single time I can get the exact same results. So like, it makes you wonder, like, what the hell was I doing? Doing all this extra. Yeah. Like, I've never even worked a 9-hour day in my business, because I had a full-time job for 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah.
And then I just quit my job like 3 months before doing a medical program. So it's like, I've never worked a full day in my business, not even once. So if people think they have to work 9 hours to even have a 6-figure business, that's not true, right? You could definitely do it in 6 maximum. So right. I love doing this challenge where it's, you cut your hours in half, try to get the same result. And then it really makes you think what's important. And ultimately, as an entrepreneur, it's really hard to disconnect from work if you have no life outside of work. And I think that's very common. Like, we just work all day because it's like the work is never done. All these ideas going. Yeah. So I found that it's even more important for an entrepreneur to have some kind of work-life balance, quote, however they think of that. So maybe it's 6 o'clock, done. Like, you go to the gym, you get dinner with the person you're dating or married to, you go to evening salsa class, or you go to a movie. Like, really having a life outside of your business is 10 times more important for entrepreneur balance, for health and for being productive.
Right. Well, this is a very important message for me also, because I can totally relate with what you're talking about, trying to do everything instead of focusing on the 3 main things to make it effective.
Yeah.
Now, I know meditation is a big thing for you also. What has meditation brought you, and how has that changed during your life?
So for me, the big one that I've gotten into is Qigong, which is kind of like, think about really intense breathing exercises mixed with like yoga-like movements. Mm-hmm. And the thing for me is that it's just, it's easy to get amped up. Like, my actual personality, like my genetics, are someone who likes working a lot. Like, I have a lot of energy usually, and I need to like blow off steam. And it's harder for me to come down than it is to like get motivated. Right. Some people are the opposite. And so for me, it's really important to like not drink coffee and to find other ways to come down. But I think the even bigger benefit is just really the self-awareness that comes from being able to watch yourself in scenarios like with friends, or let's say you're dating someone and you always have this experience where you're always reacting or getting into a fight over the same thing. Most people, they'll do that forever until they die, because they don't take the time or have the self-awareness yet to realize, like, why did I do that? Like, oh, when my girlfriend says, oh, you didn't finish your meal again, why does it bother me? Like, like, why do I get angry about that? When she keeps saying that over and over, I should just be like, well, I'm not hungry, and I can put the food away. But like, these kind of little silly arguments, they start going away when you meditate, because you feel like that little seed in your chest of like, I'm starting to get agitated, or I'm starting to get sad, or I'm starting to get frustrated. And then you can spot those connections much sooner.
And did that change? Because you've been doing it for a long time. Like, if you talk 15 years ago, did that change a lot compared to today? The level that you are at with that?
Yeah, well, believe it or not, I wasn't a long-term meditator. I've only like really in the last maybe 3 years really done it consistently.
Okay.
Like, when I left China, my big thing was I realized I was more into martial arts than meditation. And now recently I've realized I'm more into medicine than I am into martial arts. So okay. It's always evolving, but for me, like really religiously doing it every day has only been about probably 2 years.
Yeah.
And it definitely has changed, because I emphasize more Qigong, because I've noticed if I am stressed or tired or I don't sleep well, just the really intense breathing is incredibly energizing. Like, it feels almost as energizing as a nap. And I don't notice that just from seated, quiet meditation.
Cool. What martial arts did you or do you practice, by the way?
Yeah, so when I was in China, before I did Bagua, it's like a Chinese internal martial art. And then I did a style called Chen style Tai Chi. And then when I came back, I did judo for a few years.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I interviewed Jimmy Pedro last week. Maybe you know him.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, I would also really like to talk about not COVID itself, but maybe from a more positive perspective, how people can get through that. Entrepreneurs worldwide have been hit by the lockdown, especially, And some companies are actually doing really well because of it, certain e-commerce businesses, for example. But a lot of them, of course, are losing revenue, having to lay off people. What would you say to people that are scared right now of losing their business, losing their job, scared to lose money or losing what they have built over years?
It's a good question. I think for a lot of people, a lot of small businesses, this is going to probably be catastrophic. You know, even like the little local coffee shop I go to, I don't know if they can afford to reopen after 3 months,
Right.
still paying rent, no customers. And I think I'd remind people that their ultimate security is not from their business and it's not from their income. Their ultimate security is from their own mind because their mind produced that business,
Yeah.
right? So in the same way, human ingenuity can create new innovations. In this exact crisis, there's going to be new billion-dollar companies being built. And every single time there's like some kind of recession or some kind of setback, there's always new opportunities. So whether the opportunity means a new part of your business or whether it means a new business altogether, if your business does fail and go under, goes bankrupt, just reminding yourself that, you know, it's easy to just hold on tighter when the business is going under. Like, I need the money. How am I going to pay my bills? I've got kids. But reminding yourself that you built a business once, you have the skills and the mindset to do it again if you need to. And I know that's probably not going to, that's not going to solve all your problems and your anxiety. Of course not. But at the end of the day, there's always, you know, like Napoleon Hill says in Think and Grow Rich, in every one of these problems, there's the seed of an equal or greater opportunity. And I think if people don't even believe that, just look back through your life at the hard times and see the things, the good things that have come out of it.
Right, absolutely. And what are some practical habits that people can develop to deal with the anxiety, with more practical problems that might arise?
I think the big thing is taking, like, so let's look at the context. Right now we're in quarantine. I think the big thing is, if you can, just go for an hour walk every day where there's trees, ideally. Just go for an hour walk. Don't bring a podcast, no phone. Just literally go. Like, my schedule now is an hour of meditation a day, beginning and the end of the day. I make sure I go for a 1 hour walk in nature every single day, even if it's cloudy and pouring rain and ugly. I make sure, even if I'm not sleeping well, I still do my workout every other day. So figuring out what's going to be your core daily ritual. And I would say a lot of people are not using the time to reflect, go for walks, connect with old friends, like FaceTime two old friends, you know, like call friends, hit people up on Facebook, use the time to connect. There are a lot of other ways to go about it than we might have done previously.
Right. And do you see that in other successful people as well, that's what differentiates them from people that kind of stay in that negativity and don't take the opportunity that we get here with the extra time on our hands?
Yeah, I think, you know, fundamentally what we're learning right now, especially like there's going to be obviously a baby boom after COVID, but there's also going to be a massive divorce boom, massive divorces, tons of breakups. I already know like people in 5-7 year relationships ending. And I'm like, this is so weird. Like right now when people need that support the most. But what we're seeing is really that growth mindset or the fixed mindset, like of Carol Dweck's research, which is that some people, and anyone can become either one, but one mindset is, with these challenges, I'm going to figure out how I can improve. And I believe I can improve. I believe I can do something different and it's going to have a different effect. Other people are like, this sucks. I'm just, you know, I'm going to sleep in. I'm not going to go to the gym because I don't feel well. I'm not seeing anybody. I can't go to my work, or I don't see my coworkers, or I can't see friends. And they're not doing anything constructive about it. They're not using it, the time productively. They're using it instead of as, you know, a lot of people think of it as vacation on some level. I've got all this time, I can sleep in. But a lot of those people are not doing the best internally. You know, the people I know that are doing the best internally, still waking up every day at the same time, whether it's 5 a.m. or 9 a.m., like keeping that disciplined about what they eat and diet, and just trying to find the best of it. And I think that's the ultimate success principle. The reason why success is so hard to emulate is because at the end of the day, all the little tactics, they don't really matter because everybody's success story is so different. And you can do the same thing as another person, even copy their whole business, and it won't work. because there's so many mysterious factors. But the one factor you can control is, I'm going to make the best of this and figure it out. So I'm going to make the best of this and figure it out. I'm sleeping the worst I've slept in like 9 months. So what am I going to do? Like, I don't even know why it's happening. I don't feel anxious. I don't feel depressed. So I have to do the best I can, which is, I'm going to get up every day. I did Qigong 35 minutes right before this. I'm going to take my walk, even though I'm super tired today. And then I'm going to try to, go to bed earlier tonight and read a book. And, it's just, you have to do the best you can. And the worse you feel, unfortunately, the more you have to fight it. The more you cannot listen to that voice that wants you to just, lay in the couch and not connect with anyone and not do something different, because that'll definitely keep you stuck.
Right. Yeah. And you mentioned getting up early a couple of times. You hear that over and over again from successful people, entrepreneurs or athletes. I think it's only very seldomly that you hear somebody that really made it that sleeps in. I think I heard Elon Musk saying the other day he sleeps until 8 or something, but usually people get up at 3, 4, 5 a.m. Because for most ordinary people, that's a huge task, right? To get up that early, and especially doing it day after day, month after month, year after year. Yeah. What are the main, well, maybe I can't say secrets, but what are the main tactics or habits that you can develop in order to get that done, to really do it?
Well, I'll give you two things. One thing you probably won't like, which is that I actually don't think getting up early is that important. I think it's more about what you do while you're awake. And I think the reason why a lot of successful people do get up early is both a business advantage. Like if you're in the Pacific, if I'm on the West Coast, if I wake up at 5, then it's 8 a.m. in New York City. So there's like a business negotiation advantage, so you can have more business hours.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of successful people are just very competitive. And they like thinking, if I'm up earlier, I'm going to have more success because I'm starting first.
Yeah,
and it's not necessarily true. So I would say it's more about what you get done when you're awake. A lot of the business world it highlights a lot of those case studies of people that get up early because they like reinforcing that narrative of like, rise and grind. But I would say if that's something you want to do, when I've done that, the big thing is really finding a strong reason to do it and finding accountability. So if you have to show up your job at 6 a.m., you're going to get up at 5 a.m. or 4:30, whatever. But If you don't have to, then it's like, am I going to really get up at 5 a.m.? Probably not. So for each person, it's going to be different. You need to find out what functions as accountability for you. Maybe you have a morning routine where it's like you look at a picture of your kids and you're like, I never want to be in this situation again. I'm going to do it for my kids. So I would say if you can find some kind of emotional anchor, that would be really helpful. And then it's going to be hard.
Right. I personally really like to get up early because it's so quiet. Like if you walk the streets or anything, you do your emails, there's not new ones popping in all the time. It's just quiet, and you can really focus on whatever, something personal or work.
A lot of people say that. Yeah, the quiet time.
Right. Yeah. Well, we touched on that a little bit before, but besides a time of fear during COVID, you already mentioned there's actually a lot of opportunity right now. And it's also a time that people have some space to reflect on the purpose in their life and the purpose that they give to the things that they do. What do you think about finding your purpose during times like these, and what method would you recommend to other people?
So usually for me, I recently uploaded this video on, I think it's called the 390 method of finding your life purpose. And I'm really a big advocate of not trying to like philosophize and find a purpose, but rather try as many opportunities as you can, as quickly as you can, or even finding people in those fields or domains of expertise and just asking to buy them coffee, go on a coffee date, ask for a 5-minute phone call, and then kind of going with your gut and seeing if that still feels like something that's interesting to you. But in these times, on some level, obviously you can't really see people most of the time, but you can reach out to them online. And I still think you could use the same method where, let's say you've thought that you want to be a travel blogger, a tech entrepreneur, a doctor, an architect. So I would find a list of those people either online or in your local town and just actually call each one or email each one and say, hey, I'm really thinking of this field. It seems like something I could be passionate about. Do you have 5 minutes where we could talk? And I think that, that kind of thing, it goes much further than trying to think through or navel gaze and try to find your purpose. But I would say the other thing right now that's underrated is just using the time for journaling, like really intensely spending time each day just journaling about everything in life, reflecting as far back as you want or as far forward as you want, and just having that written record of, how did I live my last 5 years, and do I want the next 5 years to look like this?
That makes a lot of sense. What would you say for a person that doesn't necessarily have so many, at least hasn't manifested any interest, like they just say, oh, I like to just do my work and pay the bills, and then for the rest I just like to sit on the couch, drink beer, watch Netflix. Do you think there's just something that they still need to develop in order to explore their purpose, or are people just different?
I think people are different. I have a hard time believing that people can be happy doing that, but I know I'm different from most people. So maybe some people are content. Like maybe some people really they think their job's okay, come home, have a few beers with friends, sit down with their partner or husband, wife, and then watch a show, and they can do that their whole life. If you're happy doing that, then great, keep doing it.
Yeah.
If that's the life you want, then don't change anything. Don't listen to me. But I think just, it's surprising how few people think. Like just actually think. A lot of the time we get all our cues about what to do in life from the external world, even entrepreneurs. Like look at all the videos on YouTube about what entrepreneurs should do, what habits they do.
Right.
Okay, a lot of them are true, but a ton of entrepreneurs do not do any of those habits. I know so many entrepreneurs. The majority of millionaires I know, I don't think are that smart. Like really, I'm like, this is not a very intelligent person. And I don't see them work that hard. Like they work hard, probably like 55, 60 hours a week, but they're not that special. And so it's like, there's all these things that we think are required. And I think, it's just, we have to challenge those assumptions. So right. I think the big thing though is, coming back to the question, is to really think about what you want and really to think if what you're doing is going to get you there. Because the number of people I've spoken to that are in their let's say late 30s, 40s, especially 50s, and they wake up one day and they're like, how the hell did I get here? Like almost none of this is what I want. Like, okay, I have a family, I have a job, but I don't how did I get here? It's like a great mystery, but they did everything. They took every step.
Right.
And it's this big dilemma when you're not consciously thinking about where you want to go in life, you end up just going somewhere else. And I think that would be the biggest thing, is to take time to actively think, where do I want to be? And then are the daily habits going to actually get me there? And not a lot of people do that. Not a lot of people think.
Yeah. And I guess it takes a certain level of awareness to be able to take the step back and reflect on that.
Yeah, definitely.
What would you say entrepreneurs can do at times like these, not to just develop habits or implement habits to get better out of it themselves, but also to help their team, help their customers, and kind of lead them away from negativity and towards a better state of mind?
I think the big thing is just focus on contribution. Obviously a lot of entrepreneurs are worried about revenue now, but it might be a good time to do a hard pivot and think about what are the coolest things we can do for our customers? What are the best things? How can we over deliver? Maybe we don't do anything to generate more revenue that we're already doing beyond that. And we just write our customers, our top 500 customers, we write them a letter, literally a handwritten letter, everyone on the team is writing a letter, just something like that. Those kind of things that don't scale are highly underrated in entrepreneurship.
Right.
Because it's, entrepreneurs have a hard time not doing things that generate revenue, because that's the lifeblood of a business. But sometimes when you do the things just for the customers, it explodes your business revenue. So I would say if you want to do a real unique thing now, spend each day thinking about ideas for how can we help the customer more, because they're also suffering and not doing well. And what cool things can we do for our customers just to add value and make our business more useful to them. Because
Yeah.
I mean, that is ultimate security in business, you know, like when you're irreplaceable to your customers, they'll be around.
Is there anything special you are doing at the moment to surprise your customers?
Yeah, you know, I had a few months back, I had people share their life story with me, and I basically just picked the hardest stories I ever heard, and I wrote them a handwritten letter. And
Wow.
so those I recently sent out, like wax sealed with letter A and that kind of thing. Um, and then recently, what I started doing was I offered these free Instagram speed coaching. So I offered these free 20-minute coaching calls, and I think I booked like over 50 of them. So like I said, free 20-minute Instagram speed coaching. We'll get on Uber conference and chat. We can talk about anything. And at first I just booked like 5 or 10 people, and I was like, let me just, anyone who wants to do it, let me talk.
Wow.
And so I literally I got like 50 DMs back in like 12 hours, and I just had every single one book a call with me. So I've been doing that for the last like 6 weeks.
Oh man, that's amazing. That must have changed your life and also give you some great feedback as well.
Yeah, it's just nice to, you know, I have the same problems as most business owners. It's hard for me not to do things that are linked to revenue. But the things not linked to revenue, like those calls are so fulfilling, you know, like
Right.
it helps people so much. It's so rewarding.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Let's talk a little bit about the future. Maybe you already achieved all of them, but what are your biggest life goals, and or do they keep changing year after year?
Yeah, they definitely keep changing. In terms of just general life goals, my goal for the next year is to really build the strongest friend group I've ever had, to find the wifey.
That's a good one.
That's a good one, yeah. And so really to set the stage for, you know, a family in the next few years. The other one is I'm going to open a private medical practice. So again, like every few years, my goals evolve. So I'm going to start seeing patients Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays in my medical clinic. And then Monday, Friday, keep building out the channel and keep building out keep building out the channel and also keep building out other aspects of the business. So writing new books. My doctoral work was studying spontaneous cancer remissions. So I have an interesting book that's going to come out on that probably in the next few years.
Wow.
And then really setting the stage to build my team. So I really want to build, like, you know, think about what is my empire or my legacy, and to figure out hiring my first real employees that work for me or work with me, and to really start thinking at a much higher level. So that's really what's exciting me now.
Yeah.
I'm also going to be, you know, in terms of other life goals, I'm going to spend all of September walking the Camino de Santiago in Spain.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So I'm going to do a little pilgrimage route for maybe 4 or 5 weeks.
Where are you gonna start?
I think southern France. I think I'm
Yeah.
going to do the Camino Frances.
Cool.
And
Go through the mountains, the Pyrenees.
yeah, I mean, that's going to be awesome. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And I
yeah.
definitely need a break after this doctoral program with my business.
Oh yeah, I can totally imagine.
So I'm really looking forward to that. But otherwise, in terms of, yeah, business, just, you know, really, because I'm in Portland, Oregon now, and I'm moving to LA because I have friends in LA and I have family there, and it's way more sunny than Portland, Oregon, which is raining all the time. And I'm really, because LA has such like a big entertainment industry, I'm looking forward to hiring like video people that can really take it to the next level. So maybe new content like skits, like even just comedies, just for fun.
Yeah.
Like just educational stuff, but I can just throw in, make it more entertaining. I think it'll be more fun for me to shoot.
Awesome.
Yeah, and things like that. I would love to do a retreat in Hawaii, where we have people for 5 days or a week, and it's a mixture of self-growth and meditation and mystical. So I have all these things that are going to happen in the next 5 years. But if I'm being honest, I'm most excited about really trying to build my strongest friend group and community, my tribe, and starting dating again once my program's over. Like, honestly, those are the two things exciting me the most, but
Yeah.
lots of new business things coming out.
Yeah, that sounds very exciting, and looking forward to see those things develop if you show them on the channel. You talk about finding the wife. Most people, I think, well, now of course in more recent years there's Tinder, but most people kind of go through that, as in stumbling on the right person, the one kind of accidentally, or it's just something that happens. But looking at your background and how you approach other aspects in life, how do you approach that? Is it something you go through very systematically and organized, or how does that look?
Yeah, a little bit of both. So, I mean, my philosophy is, just like Jim Rohn says, you attract success by the person you become. That's always been my philosophy, especially with dating. When I first thought about that 10 years ago, before I ever knew this guy, Jim Rohn, when I heard that quote, I was like, that's genius. Because in dating, it's the same thing. Like my first real girlfriend I was 25. Like I was just like such a quiet, introverted, nerdy kid. I never went out. Like I was always the guy getting friend zoned, rejected. My whole life, 25 years, man.
Yeah.
It's a lot of suffering. I was like so hurt by it. And I was like, so obviously what I'm doing is not working. So I did the exact opposite. I was like, I'm going to put together on a piece of paper the guy that I most admire. Like, what would I look like? Like finances, my personality, if I'm fun or interesting, travel, all these things. Like, who would I respect? And I just started becoming that guy. Like I really started trying to live the most interesting life to me. And I got fitter. I improved my style. I learned how to be a better conversationalist, not just with women, but just in any room, with Dale Carnegie and that kind of thing. And so for me, it's always been about, if you're single or if you're not dating, the most important thing you should be doing is working on yourself. And those things, there's usually things that are really not going well that are difficult. Like some people struggle with finances or their weight. But there are other things that are like, maybe I'm not even going out. Like maybe I'm not even talking to any women in a bookstore or in a coffee shop. Right. And that has to change. So on one side, it's what things do I still have to work on to attract what I think is my dream girl? And the other thing is the actual daily habits. So the daily habits that, it's kind of crazy. Every girl I've actually met has been through weird coincidence. I guess that's, the kind of magic of life. But beyond that is the external habit, right? So it's like entrepreneur, improve your character to learn the success traits and thinking. The other half is the daily habits as an entrepreneur. For dating, it's what traits do I have to improve on myself? And then what are my daily rituals? Maybe my daily rituals as simple as I'm going to have one coffee meeting every day with someone to build a big, social network. And I'm going to just go to more events, go to one class like salsa or bachata every week. And that's how I view it in terms of internal and external.
Cool. Yeah. And as somebody who has gone so deep into, well, let's say the meaning of life and kind of consciousness and awareness, how do you view, because I'm very interested in that, how do you view achieving those goals? What will that bring you, and how will you experience feeling about that?
You mean like just in general life goals, or?
Yeah, so the getting the girl, growing the business, building that strong friend zone, friend group.
Yeah. So I've realized that there's a saying by Cervantes, this old author, I think he was Spanish, and he said, the road is safer than the inn. And I think it's a reference in ancient times to where you could have been like actually killed in like an inn or like an old hotel in ancient times.
Yeah.
But the idea is that most humans are happier on the pursuit than they are when they get the thing they think they want. And, you can have your highest business success. Your book is the New York Times bestseller. You get the dream girl, whatever it is. But really, like, if you're not happy in the day-to-day process, you'll never like the goal. And a lot of the days building my business were not happy days. And that was a big wake-up call because it was stressful. I had a full-time job. I had to work all these extra hours I didn't want to work. And so I'm trying to move away from goal-based achievement because I find that it doesn't really make me that happy. And so part of YouTube was, well, what kind of business do I love to work on daily? That's like my new question.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting. You can often have greater success without a goal than you can with the goal. It's hard to believe, but like if you focus on writing the best book and doing the best marketing for the book and not even worrying about if it's a New York Times bestseller, you can often get that. If you focus on becoming the best person and then just being like a super friendly, outgoing, happy guy, you're probably going to attract the dream girl at some point without even thinking about it. You're just like, you're in your life doing your thing and she just shows up. If you are super passionate about your work as an entrepreneur and you're always trying to become a master and get better, you're going to probably have the success you want, even if you stop setting those goals.
Right.
So I've learned that goals almost never make me happy unless I really enjoy working on them. So that's really my focus is I've removed everything I don't like in my business and other people help me do that. And going forward, I want every day to be a 10 out of 10 in terms of if I feel excited about it. That really is my primary goal in my work life.
Yeah. I think, everybody should try to go for that, I guess. And what would you say is the split between when it comes to happiness, genetics? Some people I sometimes feel are just happy just by, I don't know, the way they are wired or something. And of course, on the other hand, there's a lot of habits that you can learn and develop to also be more balanced and work your life into something better and feel more happy about it. How would you say are those things balanced out?
It's probably a mixture. I think a lot of the researchers suggest that it's a piece genetic and a piece our habits, but I think that's almost everything, right? Like almost everything in life is one piece nature, one piece nurture.
Sure. Yeah.
Even like fitness and your physical body type, personality, so it's like all these things, you just do the best you can with what you have. Everybody starts somewhere else and you just have to accept that's what it is.
Right. Yeah. And if there's one habit that people could master in order to become more happy, what would you recommend?
Strong social ties, definitely. Become closer to your family, spend more time with your family, unless they have problems. Build friendships, make your life priorities completely around family, friends, community, culture. I mean, all the research we've seen on the happiest people. I've got this book that's, I thought I had it right here. It's this book by a Harvard researcher who studied men through their whole life.
Okay.
And he found that the main predictor of their happiness was purely, he said, love, full stop. But what he meant was social ties, the frequency and the depth. So even a social, like a superficial interaction is going to make you happier than someone who has no interaction. So I would say love, hands down.
Love's the key.
Humans and love.
Yeah. Well, Alex, thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom and experience also with us today. So I want to thank you for being on the show today, and I wish you all the best coming out of the COVID-19 crisis. And I'm really looking forward also to see the developments that you talked about and the goals that you still have and see them on your channel.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's going to be very interesting. And, I'm trying to find the most fun path to success now. So that's my new mission.
Awesome. Yeah. Wow, what an interview. If you like this video, please hit the like button so YouTube knows this was a good video and it will share it with more people and spread our message across the world. If you'd like to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on anything new coming up.